Hello, everybody, and welcome to Blue Jays Today. We're your boys. We always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playalog. And today, guys, we've got to talk about some recent Toronto Blue Jays trade rumors that are just not sitting well with us right now, man. I am not about these. We've got to nip these in the bud immediately. Ross, if you're listening to this, stop it now, please.
This could be another Daulton Varsho trade, and worse.
And potentially
we don't want it.
Worse, everybody. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let's kick this thing off with Dylan Carlson. Now, Dylan Carlson is a player that the Toronto Blue Jays have shown interest in. This is not the first time that his name has come up with the Toronto Blue Jays. They have looked at him in the past, and he used to be a player, like when he was coming up into the league, he was considered a top prospect.
Yes.
He was considered a guy that was going to do things in the MLB.
Yeah.
What happened?
Dude, I don't know what the hell happened. I think there must have been some sort of injury or getting in your head. I don't know. St. Louis fans, if you're out there, if you're watching this video, let us know what the hell happened to Dylan Carlson. But I don't really want him, because if you look at his recent years, right, going off of last year, it looked like he was injured. A 651 OPS with a batting average of 219 the year before, 236 OPS still under 700. And then in 2021, this was like the last of his, like, oh, we're moving up in the world. We're breaking out. Rookie of the year, third in voting, 780 OPS. But we haven't seen that since 2021. There could potentially be some opportunity for Dylan Carlson to become like that. It looks like injuries have ruined him. 128 games played in 2022 in 76 years. So maybe there's something there, but it's a lot of risk for me. And the reason why I bring up that it could be like a Daulton Varsho is because he is more known for the defense, not so much like Daulton Varsho, but it's there, and he's got a lot of years left, bro.
Dylan Carlson is a very good defender. You cannot take that away from him at all. He will be put into the outfield. He will replace Kevin Kiermaier's defense. He will do that. He'll be very, very good out there in the field. With the bat, though, it's just not good. And I think where we're at right now is we're watching the Toronto Blue Jays show interest in this guy, and I just don't understand why we haven't learned, you know? I thought that the whole point of this offseason was to do something differently than last offseason, because last offseason, the whole strategy was we're prioritizing defense, we're prioritizing limiting runs, we're going to sacrifice a little bit of bat. Great, that worked. Now it's the opposite, though, and Dylan Carlson, he is still that same stereotypical player of last year's mentality.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you look at just the percentile rankings, it's low, and there's not really much prospect. Again, could be some sort of injury, and he could break out. But the thing is, we don't have time to wait. And what you're basically getting when you trade for Dylan Carlson is you're hoping for time, right? He's got 3 years left. And that's going to cost a little bit more in the trade, trading for a guy with 3 years with that much kind of like prospect capital. So you're hoping that eventually he breaks out, but we don't have time. We need guys off free agency who have proved it, done it, get them in, slug, get us to a deep postseason stretch. We don't have time for Dylan Carlson to break out once Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. leave the team. I do not want a trade for this man. Sure, he might break out one day, and I might be eating my words, but right now, no, I have no interest. Bro.
Dude, the fact that they're even looking at this guy has me honestly worried that they learned literally nothing from this past entire season, right? You need to be going out and you need to be targeting dudes who can add to that lineup. And you know what? All the love to Dylan Carlson. Right? This is not a hate video on Dylan Carlson. I want him to develop. I want him to do well. But you're looking at a man who's been plagued by injuries and who's just not been able to replicate that type of production that he had in 2021 for 2 years. Why on earth would you, as the Toronto Blue Jays, be giving up assets to get that dude? This would be a different story. Sorry to go ahead. This would be a different story if it was a free agency thing. Because if it was a free agency thing, where you sign him to a deal, no big deal. If he doesn't pan out, who cares, right?
Dude, you signed him to a 1 year deal. Exactly.
You can see.
That's the problem.
You can see, but because it is a trade and because it's 3 years, you are going to feel inclined to play him during that period of time, and you're going to need to give up a decent chunk just for that contract.
Yes. And if you look over at the articles that are linking us to Dylan Carlson, what they want in return is pitching. We have a lot of pitching. That's why it makes sense. And if you look at Yusei Kikuchi, you have the St. Louis Cardinals kind of in the free agency market looking for some sort of pitchers. Yusei Kikuchi makes a lot of sense for a St. Louis Cardinals, but I don't think just 1 year of an inconsistent career, in fact, quite consistently bad career of Yusei Kikuchi, one breakout good year is going to cover the cost of the prospect of what Dylan Carlson could be. I think it's going to be a Yusei Kikuchi and a prospect. And what we gave up for Daulton Varsho, which was Gabriel Moreno and Lourdes Gurriel Jr., 1 year, good player Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and your number one prospect, you could see a Relvis Martinez or a Varsho. I can believe it that they would do that. That's the kind of deal it would take. And this is why I'm saying no. Do not go down this path again. Do not make the same mistake. That would just be abysmal. I would be screaming in that live stream if we made that trade.
No, I completely agree with you, dude. And I mean, as you're speaking right now, I'm thinking to myself, would I even do a Kikuchi for this guy? And I mean, like, sure, like the prospect of it potentially being good is nice. But I kind of would just rather hold on to Yusei Kikuchi. You know, like, this is not the player profile that you need to be targeting right now if you're the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm happy that you're looking at a bunch of options, that you're really evaluating this. Dylan Carlson, he ain't it, guys. Looking at the statistics, literally just a worse Varsho. and I don't need to see two of those guys in the outfield for next season.
Not at all, guys. We can go find some better outfielders like Cody Bellinger in the free agency market.
He has good defense too. Ross,
literally
get it done.
Literally. And now another trade candidate that the Blue Jays have been kind of linked to, and it all has to do with that third base bag, right?
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
If you guys watched our podcast last night, Nick and I went live. We're literally just recording this right after that. We talked about Matt Chapman and we talked about Candelario. Who are we going to get, right? We're looking for some sort of replacement, but there is an avenue in the trade market to possibly replace that third base position.
Yeah.
And that's Eugenio Suarez.
It's Eugenio Suarez. Yeah. Just another worse Matt Chapman. Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Okay, now listen, I'll backpedal a little bit here, guys. I'm not necessarily as bullish on Suarez as we are on Carlson. However, when I do say that he's a worse Matt Chapman, it kind of is true, folks. Looking at the statistic last year, 714 OPS, 232 batting average. Scroll down to the strikeouts, please.
Yeah, a lot of strikeouts.
214 strikeouts. Him and Teoscar Hernandez were battling, man. They were going back and forth with those strikeouts all last year, and he consistently strikes out. This is a player who you're going to put in the middle of the lineup. He will produce because he got 96 RBIs, but there is also going to be time and time again where you have a runner in scoring position and it's 1, 2, 3, swing and a miss. We're sitting down back on the bench.
And you know, the one good thing about the Toronto Blue Jays is they don't have a ton of swing and miss. Actually, the guy that had a ton of swing and miss was Matt Chapman.
Yes.
Right? So basically you're replacing Matt Chapman with Eugenio Suarez, who strikes out more, but it's what are you getting in return? You're getting into potential for him knocking in 30 home runs, you know, with the Toronto Blue Jays lineup, potentially even hitting 100 RBIs, right? So you would be getting that 4-5 hitter in your lineup. So I like him I like him personally just a little bit better than the Matt Chapman. I know it's crazy to say because they have very similar numbers, but it's that home run potential and the fact that he's done it before. But you are taking a bit of a trade-off. Obviously, he is good defensively, third baseman, but obviously you cannot deny that Matt Chapman is the better third baseman.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I think I gotta let us know in the comments, guys. But I think I gotta fight you back on that one. Like for me, it's like, and you guys know, I am not necessarily a Matt Chapman stan to say the least, you know. But when you're looking at two players who are, you know, both strike out a ton, who, you know, let's face it, like, you know, batting wise is going to be great. However, Matt Chapman still did have a better slash line last year, not necessarily production wise, but just slash line was Matt Chapman. I think I got to lean Chapman just with the defense alone.
Right.
Just with the defense, right?
I hear what you're saying. I think I am leaning, like he did have, definitely a better OPS. I think I'm definitely leaning, the reason why I'm leaning Suarez is because just like we talked about in our live stream last night, or technically tonight on recording this video, is to bring back like a Matt Chapman, it will cost multiple years and kind of limit your potential for your prospects to come up in that third base spot. Whereas Suarez, if you look over, like he's only got one more year on a club option left. So if you are going to find some sort of Band-Aid solution that like kind of bridge over towards the Varsho or Martinez, he makes sense in that regard. And you could slot him down 5-6 and just kind of forget about him as that veteran guy. And then like use your club option, don't use your club option. It's up to you at that point.
Look, if they go out and they make a trade for a Eugenio Suarez, this is what it needs to be for me to be okay with this. First off, you cannot be giving up a ton of stuff here. This guy is 32 years old. He's going to be 33 years old. He's got 1 year left on his deal. I mean, sure, he had 96 RBIs last year, but he also had 214 strikeouts, right? So there's a lot of negotiations going on here to say lower the price tag on Eugenio Suarez. So that's number one. Number two is he's coming in, and the one role that he's going to have here is that he's going to help the young rookies take over that spot. So we don't need to be having this conversation next year. So that Orellis Martinez can slot in and Varsho can slot in, and they can do it. So that in 2025, it's going to be one of those. And then number three, and this is maybe the most importantly out of all of these requirements for going out and trading Eugenio Suarez, you got to get me some other dudes. I want a Cody Bellinger, right? Because Eugenio Suarez, even though there's production there, you are adding a massive strikeout negative. You're adding another guy who could flirt with the 600 to 700 OPS mark, right? That's the type of player that you're adding right now. So you could even argue that you're adding a negative to the lineup. You need to counteract that by adding such a big positive like a Cody Bellinger, like a Jorge Soler, like a Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, for sure. I hear what you're saying, and I agree. This isn't the guy. This is the guy that's going to be part of the multiple guys that are going to be coming over to the Toronto Blue Jays to help out the team, fill in a hole. And at the end of the day, just looking at his OPS plus, like he's just an average bat that you would throw in there. Literally a 101 OPS. Like he's a different type of bat. Like, you have other batters who have higher batting average, lower slugging, and then become a 100 OPS plus kind of guy too. So he's just an average guy. But again, he's not the guy for the Toronto Blue Jays. We forgot to mention here, folks, that yes, the Blue Jays are in fact expressing interest in him. It's not just us talking about it. They are literally expressing interest. So what would we trade? Nick and I kind of speculated like a little bit before this, but think about what we traded Teoscar Hernandez to them for. It's going to be either like a low bullpen, it was a high bullpen guy. I think it's going to cost less.
It's going to cost less. Teo was coming off of a better year than what Suarez is coming off of.
Granted, you do have a club option, so there is an optional year if you did want to flex it that could raise the value. So I think it's similar, but I do think it's going to be slightly less. Like I could see a reality where you send like a middle tier prospect, and honestly, I would say pitcher, but the Mariners have a ton of pitching. We throw out the idea of like a Santiago Espinal or even like an Otto Lopez or something like that where they can go and like kind of fill up that lineup, but just a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, if the deal's not right, like don't do it. This is not one of those things where we need to be going crazy. And this is also, I think, why hearing these reports, it is a little bit worrisome if you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan, because we've watched this management in the past just like to shove that square in the circle slot and just be like, we're getting our guy no matter what, and overpay like a Daulton Varsho situation. This cannot be one of those things. You saw that happen last year. You're seeing the fan reaction right now. Be stingy. If the deal doesn't happen, don't make it.
Yeah, the only way they become desperate is if you miss out on Candelario, you miss out on Matt Chapman. I could actually see a reality where they get a little bit desperate and they throw in like something. I don't think it's going to cost them a top prospect. This is not a top prospect kind of trade.
Better not.
It's going to be a middle tier prospect and like maybe an already MLB player like an Espinal or like Trevor Richards or something like that.
Ross, if you're listening right now, man, if you just get and lock down Cody Bellinger.
Fine.
I do not give a crap what you do, man. You start the offseason off like that, the rest of the dominoes, they can fall as they will.
Yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below about the Dylan Carlson trade and the Eugenio Suarez trade. Would you be interested, or are you saying no, 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 don't make me have PTSD again with these horrible trades? You let us know your thoughts.
Also, shout out to our Patreon members, guys. $3 a month, become a Patreon member, and our YouTube members too. All of you guys are so loved and appreciated.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And
Go Jays, go!